Welcome to Suitcase and Chardonnay, the podcast where style meets storytelling and where we blissfully blend travel, fashion, food, wine, and intentional living. I'm Renate Engelbrecht, your host, and this is a space where you can find inspirational lifestyle tips, explore beautiful local and international destinations, and share slow, luxury moments and the little details that make life feel richer. In this second season, we are leaning even deeper into life's unique experiences. From boutique hotels and family weekend escapes, to thoughtful food and fashion, soulful conversations about wine, creativity, and conservation, and the art of slowing down without losing your sense of adventure. Whether you're listening on a morning walk, planning your next getaway, or simply craving a moment of inspiration, you're in exactly the right place. If you love lifestyle podcasts that celebrate travel, fashion, food, and wine, go ahead and follow or subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And if something resonates, save it, share it, and let it travel further than we ever could alone. Now, if you're ready, let's go. I would like to say when the dust has settled, but in this case, it's more a case of when the storm has subsided. There is one place I would really recommend you visit when you are down in the Cape and the weather is a bit more settled, and that is Vergenoegd Löw. Now, for those of you who have been following the podcast, you might have come across an episode where I interviewed Vergenoegd Löw's Chef Michelle Tron, and that was a couple of months ago. And during that visit, she told me about her plans for the culinary experiences that one could have at Vergenoegd Löw. And I was so excited about everything that she had planned that I just had to go and look and see what they have changed and how things have evolved since I've been there last. So a couple of weeks ago, I was offered the opportunity to stay at Vergenoegd Löw for one night, and she treated me to various different culinary experiences, so much so that I didn't want to eat for the next 2 days. But it truly was magical and very special to have been given that opportunity to experience some of the latest things that she has on offer at Vergenoegd Löw. First up is the brand new winter menu launched at Geuwels Restaurant. So Chef Michelle is a very innovative chef, and she brings together heritage and history, which is so intertwined in everything that gets done at Vergenoegd Löw. And she brings that onto the plate in a very innovative way. And the winter menu at Geuwels is exactly that. She brings all of that onto one plate for everyone to experience. And if you're a South African dining at Geuwels, you would appreciate the many ways in which she brings in our heritage and certain tastes that bring in a lot of nostalgia for many of us. I'm just thinking about the roosterkoek that she offers on the plates on many occasions, and the way in which she presents it is just so wonderful and special. And of course, the taste is out of this world. And these roosterkoeken that she makes, or that she and her team prepares for the guests, are made on the grill and are freshly served with homemade butter. And it's almost like an entry into what you can expect for the rest of the meal. And it forms part of the bread service, which is quite spectacular in its own right. On a beautiful plate that kind of resembles the miroir or the maritime terroir that you can find at Vergenoegd Löw, because it's not far from the sea. So there are some marine elements that you can find in the terroir in the soil on the farm, which is quite special. And they can tell you a little bit more about that, especially when you taste the wines with the food as well. So that is one of the things that is quite spectacular and very special. And of course, at Vergenoegd Löw, they are also very committed to sustainability and to heritage. So bringing those things to the plate kind of brings everything full circle as well, which I really appreciated about the experience. I was also privileged enough to be joined by Spencer van der Meer, their wine specialist or wine consultant. And he joined me for lunch at Geuwels, and just being able to taste the wines from Vergenoegd Löw with the dishes offered for the winter menu now was quite special. And we were able to compare the wines with the different dishes, and spoke about the different tastes and the textures, and that was quite special as well, which is something I would highly recommend if you are someone who appreciates wine and food. Then, having different wines on the table with you while you dine is always a great way to appreciate the food and the wine even more, and to have a conversation over that and to discuss the different tastes that you experience. I think that just adds to the experience, especially on a wine farm when you're dining at a wine farm.
If you're a lifestyle, travel, fashion, food, or wine brand looking for a multi-purpose platform to collaborate with in telling your brand's story, please reach out to hello@suitcaseandchardonnay.co.za. Suitcase and Chardonnay is a blog, podcast, and social media company, and under the same brand, I am also a freelance writer who writes numerous articles for various publications. I would love to work with you in telling your brand's story, so feel free to reach out and let's share your story together.
To give you a glimpse of what you can expect from the winter menu, think goose terrine, think Dexter beef, think pumpkin baked cheesecake for dessert. Those were some of the things that really stood out for me. But I mean, there were so many things that we tasted that day that I almost can't even remember everything. But every dish had a very special way of, bringing a certain element or a certain ingredient to life on the plate. And pairing that with the different wines was really quite something. So that's Geuwels. Also, for those of you who don't know, Geuwels was recently refurbished, and it's a beautiful space to dine in with lovely fireplaces. It's very cozy, a warm atmosphere. Of course, the staff are brilliant and well trained, and it was just such a lovely experience. And there are different nooks for you to sit at. So there are the usual tables and chairs, then there are like round tables with couches, and there are also there's also a very nice, more intimate room for events or birthday parties or whatever. And then, of course, there is the tasting room just next door. So there's something for everyone. And it's definitely one of my top restaurants at this stage. When you think of the winelands and dining in the winelands in South Africa, it's definitely worth adding to your bucket list. Apart from Geuwels, you can also have various other experiences at Vergenoegd Löw. Of course, the ducks that come past on a daily basis, I think is at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. They are something to witness, most definitely. So if the weather allows, do drag yourself outside and be ready to take some snaps, because they are the cutest and they have a very big role to play at Vergenoegd Löw. Then there are two other brand new offerings at Vergenoegd Löw. The one is the farm tea, which I found was something that I have not seen anywhere else yet. I know there are various places that do high teas, but this is something very unique because it comes from a place that is very, very real and authentic, because it comes from Chef Michelle's memories of tea with her family. And that is something that I found quite unique and special. And I think it's, because of the fact that it feels so real and true to heritage and who we are, I think it kind of just gets pulled through the whole experience, and people will feel that. I believe if you go for a farm tea at Vergenoegd Löw, you're going to feel that energy and that those special touches and those special moments that she remembered while she was thinking out all of these special treats to be had with your tea. You get your savory bites, and then you get open sandwiches, and then you also get the sweet treats in the end, which you can obviously also then pair with a cup of coffee if you really want to. But the teas are really special, and yeah, it just goes very well with the whole experience. So the farm tea basically is served in the homestead, and people can book for this experience. And it's very special. So if you ever want to have an authentic, unique experience in the winelands and you are in the area, or you're willing to drive through to Vergenoegd Löw, or you even want to make an outing, a proper outing of it and stay over for a night, this is something I would highly recommend. It really is something that you can do with friends, with family, just by yourself. I did it by myself, which is, it's very hard to finish all of it. But you might just, because it's so good. It's all just so beautifully plated and beautifully presented. And pretty much all of the items on the plate come with a story, with a backstory. So Chef Michelle or whoever is serving you will be able to tell you a little bit more about each item. But they kind of tie back to some of the experiences that you can have at Geuwels, because one of the options or one of the items is a roosterkoek as well, and she also uses mosbolletjies for one of the sandwiches, one of the open sandwiches. So she once again brings in a lot of the heritage elements, while she innovatively plates it in a way that elevates it immediately. So it looks spectacular, it tastes incredible, and it leaves such a big impression that you will want to come back again and again. And the whole idea behind this episode is also to showcase how things keep evolving at Vergenoegd Löw, because I really wasn't there that long ago and things have changed a lot. And I think that is also one of the things that I really appreciate about Chef Michelle Tron, is that she has new ideas in her head all the time and she's not scared to implement them. So whenever you are at Vergenoegd Löw, you might experience something completely different to the previous time you visited, because it's never the same. She keeps innovating and she keeps bringing new ideas to the table, which is wonderful. And she collaborates with the team on the ground and really thinks through how she is going to implement certain elements about the experience at Vergenoegd Löw and bring it all together on one plate. She thinks about the wine, she thinks about the terroir, she thinks about the sustainability, she thinks about the heritage. So everything is brought together and blended together to bring you a full experience of the whole of Vergenoegd Löw. So that's the farm tea. Then there is another experience to be had as well, which will also while I was there, it was in the process of being launched. So if you are planning on visiting soon, do ask them about the new tasting experience, the alcohol-free tasting experience. On the blog on Suitcase and Chardonnay, you will find a review that I did a while ago about the indigenous tasting that you can have at Vergenoegd Löw. Now, this was paired with the wine farms or the estate's different wines. This time around, they have gone and curated drinks, alcohol-free drinks that you can have with this same tasting experience. But instead of the wines, you'll have these alcohol-free aperitifs or drinks or whatever you would like to call it. So I tasted each of these drinks, and they are each very special in their own way and very unique. I mean, they use ingredients that I would never even have dreamt of putting into a drink. I'm thinking things like amazi and rooibos tea, hot chocolate, and it's once again so innovative, the way in which they have brought together these drinks and the way in which they pair it with these different tasting options on this beautiful round plate that I talk about in the blog post as well, because it was specially curated for this experience. And these drinks are just so unique and so special, and they bring you back to the terroir without it being wine, which is quite something. So if you prefer not drinking alcohol or want to stay safe, or if you are the designated driver for the day, it really is worth trying this alcohol-free option or version of the indigenous tasting. So yes, I think all in all, the whole experience at Vergenoegd Löw has changed a lot, but also stayed the same in terms of the values and the commitment that you see. While I was there, it was really so special to, that thing about solo travel is quite relevant at the moment for me, because I traveled there on my own and I stayed there on my own, and just experiencing it solo was I almost want to say enlightening in a way. The weather was cloudy and rainy, and it's something that many people don't really like, but I love that about Cape Town. I love the winters in the Cape because it calls for fireside dining and it calls for red wine. So that's the kind of weather of the Cape that I really love. I'm not saying the stormy weather is what I love, but those cold, wet days that invite you in for a fireplace, for sitting by the fire and just having a glass of wine. That's what I really love about the Cape. But let me get back to my point. It really was very special to experience Vergenoegd Löw on my own, because I could walk around and experience it just as I felt it. And the one thing that really stood out for me was the smell. I think the rain probably brought out a lot more of it, but as I walked between Geuwels Restaurant and my room, I could smell the rosemary between the vineyards. And I could smell the rain and I could feel it on my skin, which was so amazing. And all of those sensory experiences just came together on the plate so beautifully. And I never realized how you can experience all of that through what you drink and what you eat. But I think that is something I have come to appreciate about food and wine, is that you can actually taste the soil, you can taste the terroir, you can taste a place. And that is something very, very special and something that no one can take away from you. And that is why I love traveling as well, because you can, in the end, build those memories from experiences like this. And I think Vergenoegd Löw does one thing really well, and that is bringing those memories to the plate and offering you the opportunity to make your own. To make your own memories, to take those memories back home with you and to tell other people about it. And when you return, all of these memories will come flooding back again. And that is what makes traveling and food and wine so special. So yes, when you are in the Cape and you have the opportunity to visit Vergenoegd Löw, the first 3 things I would recommend you do are Geuwels Restaurant, try their new winter menu, and then the next morning you can't leave without trying out their incredible farm tea. And somewhere in between, you're going to have to fit in that tasting, the indigenous tasting. So if you don't want to do the wine pairing with the indigenous tasting, then just opt for the alcohol-free version and see how interesting and how unique they've made these drinks, and ask them to explain to you the different flavors and the inspiration behind it, because it really is quite something.
Vergenoegd Löw is where history, heritage and harmony converge. In fact, it's a living, evolving national monument, part of the European Heritage Project and a WWF conservation site. From its divine wine and culinary offerings to its commitment to sustainability and heritage, it's a place where you can feed your soul. Surrounded by serenity and nature, you're bound to slow down and indulge in the smell of the ocean and fynbos, the sound of birdsong, and the tastes of the land. Visit vergenoegd.co.za for more. Thank you so much for spending some time with me on Suitcase and Chardonnay. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to follow the podcast or subscribe on your favorite platform. It truly helps the show grow and helps others to discover it too. You can find more stories, travel tips and reviews, style inspiration and curated recommendations over on the blog at Suitcase and Chardonnay, where each episode often lives on in written form, with links, visuals and deeper details. For daily fashion inspo, behind the scenes moments and slow living storytelling, come and say hi on Instagram, Facebook or Pinterest. Just search for Suitcase and Chardonnay. And if this episode sparked something for you, don't forget to save it or share it with someone who loves travel, fashion, food and wine as much as you do. Until next time, keep chasing beauty, spotting the little things, traveling with intention and finding joy in everyday things.